Remember this?
Of course.
Yeah. This was the only time I ever tried to do anything to my hair. I thought I'm gonna put, if Garth Brooks can go insane and straighten his hair and make himself look gothy, then I can do it too. It was a strange time. I mean, saying this out loud, it sounds very odd to me that I would have tried to do that. Whatever I got was like the easy thing that you just put in your hair in the shower, and it didn't work all that well. It worked okay. I mean, I definitely could see the effects, but it did not give me the full Chris Gaines that I was looking for. My first film was about a young woman who was a wandering soul, and certainly I felt like that when I was writing that film. And the second one was about a guy who was a kind of hungry, struggling artist. And this new one about a small business owner. That's certainly, I think, a lot of my experience self-distributing the first two films went into that, because I in my wallet right now I've got credit cards for 3 different LLCs that I'm the manager of for each of these films, which was something that I never aspired to. But I've done it because I've cared about these projects and I've wanted them to have a life, and it's been worth it to me. I had dinner with my dad the other night, and he went to business school for my whole life. I've had conversations with my dad where he explained what he does to me, and people ask me, what does your dad do? And I say, I don't know. He tells me, and I try to process it, but it's hard for me to hang on to it. My brain doesn't grasp that stuff. But in a way, I've kind of had to learn to grasp some of it, and that's been a interesting and challenging thing.
Wow.
You can see that kind of. Well, yeah. What is that?
I mean, it's
school marching band, I think.
Yeah, it's a good marching band.
Do you think is this like a high schooler or is this a college?
I would say my instincts say this would be college.
Right.
But again, like if it's the 1950s or 60s.
Mm-hmm. There's always this tension when you're making a film, and this is why my wife is a novelist. I would love. There's part of me that would love to be a novelist and would love to do what she does and go into a little room and stay there, and a work of art comes out of it. To spend that much time without external objects, tactile objects to work with and work from. That's a big part of the joy of filmmaking for me, is that tension between you're imposing your will and you're playing God, but it's severely limited. And if you have $100 million budget, the limitations are different, but you're still not God. There's still somebody else playing God, or forces that are beyond your control that you always have to answer to.
No, it's cardboard. It's got. But what is? Jeez.
I feel like it's like it can be a tie, can be a belt.
So you just learned to tie a tie?
Yeah, because I was getting married, and I thought on my wedding day, like I'm a man now, and I'm gonna tie the tie. Basically, I went on the internet. There was a website like How to Tie a Tie, and I looked at which one of these has the least steps. And I knew Windsor was.
Like I only know I learned how to tie a tie in like 1990, and so it's just that as tight as possible and sort of unassuming as possible.
It took me several tries, and for the first 6 tries, I was like, what the fuck am I like? This is I can't do it. I can't tie a tie. It's like, oh god,
That's a small tie.
It's a small tie. This is really. I have a lot of performance anxiety right now. Is that the correct side?
That's the correct side. Yes, you're on the wrong side.
Back through here. Is this right?
That looks right.
This is obviously not right.
Matters.
Impressive. I always want to make a film that I feel like nobody else is going to make. And of course you kind of trick yourself into that, and it just depends on where you're standing. On the one hand, there's an egoism to that and a kind of absurdity to that, and on the other hand, you want there to be a. I think it was a great, when the first films were made, and trains going to stations and all that, you can watch those films today, and they still have a kind of magic to them, and you can still feel somehow.
Yeah.
Even though you've seen a million other shots of trains going to stations now, maybe you haven't, but you still feel the newness and the freshness and the aliveness, and those images have a life to them. And I think it was kind of a remarkable innovation, remarkable industry that people figured out how to get the life out of images as quickly as they did. The fact that you can turn on the TV and see something, and even though this is a unique event, even though this is, you know, a specific actor standing in a specific spot with a specific distance from the camera, and all these things that make every shot unique from each other, the fact that you can turn on the TV and be like, oh, I know, it's one of these. Right. I know this.
Yeah.
That it's eerie that came to be, and that really most films don't seem unique. Most films, you do think you know exactly what they are. It shouldn't be that way. The medium seems to resist that.
Right. Right.
But I always I've rambled.
No, but is that human nature that we? He does a good job of these, so I think he usually has an idea as to while we're talking.